Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Self-Love Show.
Good morning.
I'm your host, Trish Wright, and this is my lovely, awesome host. Oh, God.
I'm Dawn Light.
We are so excited to bring Candice Marie Divinatrix today. And let me just share a little bit about how we get to bring out Miss Candice today. I'm so excited. She's sharing her secrets to creating harmony with ourselves using cord cutting, tantric cord cutting. This is a practice to help you free, one of many practices to help you free yourself from any negative ties that you may have within yourself and your relationships. You will be guided through a divine, co-created tantric meditation, or at least a taster of it, and invited to create more openness in your heart and to be in your full expression of love, both inwards and outwards. This tantric exercise is geared towards creating a more loving relationship with yourself. And this is easily applicable to add to daily routine as a tangible exercise for self-care, self-love on a regular basis. Candace, this lovely, amazing human right here, who shares so much heart and honest vulnerability. She is one of the most feeling, loving, caring people that I know. Just relocated herself from her Temple of Frolic back to Manchester, New Hampshire, and is delighted to share with you some of her juicy Tantric Divinatrix offerings. She has an extensive 8+ year background of professional and personal training experience in the tantric and sex positive world. She creates and holds space in great sensual variety for these fun, juicy, conscious experiences is really what lights her up. Yay! So Candice, tell us a little bit about this work and how you got into it.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. And wow, as I was listening to you read that, there were certain pieces that really stuck out to me. And the word juicy. Well, first of all, I got a little critical. I'm like, that's too much juicy. You got to take that out of there, Candace. But the reason why I love that word, I use that word, and it really comes back to how can I create and help others create a juicy life experience in each moment of each day, in especially finding tools and practices to turn some of our biggest pain points or our biggest challenges into juicy experiences. Just sounds like a really good idea. And so initially, I found myself here for my own healing. And then when I discovered the possibilities and how I could help others, I dove right in. And yeah, that was kind of broad in general. I hope that answered really. Would you like me to speak more into?
Sorry, I was clicking around in the background and hysterically all over. The thing that I love about Tantra, as I understand it, is the way that it transmutes the sensations of human life. Mm-hmm. And that's taking what is, which is we have this spectrum of experience, this spectrum of feeling, and we want to label them as positive feelings and negative feelings. But what it offers, how I understand it and the practices that I've participated in, is that it takes it as sensation or sensuality rather than an experience of negative feelings and positive feelings. So it really creates a more compassionate approach to living in this human experience. So you're like, oh, hey, I feel feel this thing that I've labeled as anger, and what that feels like is hot, and it feels like, you know, I'm sweating and my pulse is racing, and to actually utilize that energy in a way that's pleasurable, or actually just like switch the judgment around it as being, instead of being painful, but as pleasure. So that's part of the things that I've understood in my own personal growth and story around Tantra. Gosh, I've never shared this, Candace. Ooh, I'm gonna be really brave. I am sweating now. Okay. Wow. All right. So when I was younger, when I had I had an experience, a couple of experiences where I had sexual trauma that I was working through, and I was definitely having sex with a lot of people in this moment because I wanted to connect with people. I wanted to connect with them, and I wanted to feel connected, and I wanted love, and I wanted touch. And there was a certain point that I realized, I was like, there's something missing here. And I thought, one of my friends was like, hey, you're so good at this experience that maybe Tantra might be a place for you to look. And I started to bring spirituality into my sex life. And it was a really amazing, eye-opening place for me. I was in massage school, and I was doing holotropic breath work, and I had like really, like I was really just starting my journey. Like this was the piece to unlocking the journey of understanding who I am now, even just like the pain points and the pleasure points and all of the things. And that was the start.
Gorgeous. Yeah. Appreciate your vulnerability there, Trish.
I'm sweating a lot.
Yeah, but that's it there. Like everything you've said is such a valuable content, because really it's learning to lean in and not shame or wrong ourselves for being human and having the emotion and feelings we have, because we are operating within a spectrum of human emotion. And it's like learning to, like you use anger as an example, learning to transcend anger through the sensation of like, oh, I don't have to push against it. I can lean in and, wow, what does anger feel like, without putting it on someone else? You can just actually process it and feel like, oh, it feels hot. It feels sweaty. It feels, my heart's racing. I feel, you know what I mean? So it's good. It's like learning to embody all the human emotions without the fear of doing so, is what I'm hearing you say. And the deeper part is the integration of the spiritualness, spiritual connection into like the places where there wasn't any before, right? Like it sounds like you were having sex out of that need to want to connect, but the connection was missing for you through it all. And that can be a very common experience for many people that are in the dating world. They're out there, they're dating, they're experiencing it, but they're not connecting deeply. And ultimately, all partnerships and relationships desire that deep, longing for deep, real intimacy, authenticity, vulnerability there.
Exactly. And that's why I respect Candice so much. I respect you both, but I really respect Candice, is that Candice, whenever I see you, you're in your truth. Like whatever is really real and alive for you, you're really there. You're expressing it, you're sharing it, and you're being courageous in your sharing. And I see you as this tantric priestess divinatrix, like fully expressing, feeling human. And I love that aspect about you, that you're like, there's such a shame point in the culture of our universe around expressing our feelings and expressing our sexuality and our creativity. And what I honor and respect about you is that you don't have that. Or that you're like, even if you do, you're like, here, this is it. This is who I am. You got it. And you're wildly lovable for it.
So sweet.
Yeah. I really appreciate that reflection, and I appreciate your share. And Tantra, I think essentially it really it has a different meaning to anybody. Tantra is essentially, in Sanskrit, if we were to go to the translation, all it means is to weave. And just like what Trish shared, I have a similar experience. Tantra for her brought her to a place of weaving sex and spirit, weaving painful sensations with pleasurable sensations, not separating, not saying this is bad, this is good, this is, we learn how to be with it all. For me personally, I was very sexually traumatized. And that's essentially what led me to Tantra. At first, I was in the regular societally acceptable world of trying to get help and trying to help others, working at institutions, government institutions and whatnot. First on the receiving end and then on the giving end. But there were many parts of me that were not getting what they needed there, but especially around my sexuality. It wasn't until I discovered Tantra that I was able to find my healing. And everyone has their own experience with it, but I think essentially Tantra, there's many practices, there are many ways you can explore Tantra, but it's creating this sense of safety in areas where we once maybe didn't have it. And another core piece of Tantra, and you don't have to have trauma for Tantra to benefit you, that's just for me. But Tantra, for me, and from most people, it's restoring this sense of sacredness and reverence to our sexuality, going beyond the physicality to who we are on a spiritual level, seeing sexuality as the most powerful energy in this world. It creates life. It's not just something that lives between our legs. It's way beyond 3 to 7 inches of our body, way beyond 3 to 7 seconds in time. Not to say that those things aren't amazing, and but usually around spirituality and sexuality, they're very separate. You could take these two things that are really amazing and put them together, and they just become that much more powerful. So if we take this energy that we usually leave in the closet, in the bedroom, only down there, in our inner journal, and we really start expanding upon that, it affects every area of your life because it is life.
That's what you're bringing forward is bringing forward something in me that I'll share right now. I've done this in my own practice with my marriage, and because we were needing to go through such a restructuring and a reshifting of actual roles, right? Like I was letting go of a wounded masculine role in my life for so long that I had carried through my own trauma and healing that I was going through. And that my husband, I married he has this very deep feminine nature to him. He's very, very creative and open and beautiful, right? And it's a perfect balance, right? But I also am very feminine too. And so we've had a role reversal take place, and it was a deep intentional thing that I actually intended to do. And it's been gorgeous, after being married so long, and it's really helped balance our life in a way that we were really needing. And how I did so was through the act of using a Tantra energy. And that is, I initiated a balancing ritual in our marriage. And it was right in the beginning of my graduate studies process. But a friend of mine gave me a deep invitation and said, I just invite you forward to lay down any place inside of your marriage where you're withholding with each other. And I was like, you know what? I'm totally going to take this and run with it. And so she gave me the gift of a beautiful ritual to do. And actually now I share this in my practice with all my clients that have this very core thing going on where there's disconnect in their relationships or disconnect in their marriage, or a disconnect where they're wanting to bring more connection in and heal a place that there's woundedness in their relationship. You can do it in this way. And so what we did is I went and booked a beautiful spot at a hotel that a gorgeous place that's on the coast. And it was a really gorgeous place, the Bodega Bay Lodge. And I took my husband there, and a good friend of ours watched our son for us for the weekend. And we went and had a beautiful stay together. But I intentionally built an entire altar to love. And I said, what if I just embody the energy of I am love? And I am a goddess of love. And I'm going to show up in my full loving self and bring in and weave in healing here where there's been disconnect for us, so that we can bring balance, right? And so it was all about balancing the masculine and feminine inside of in myself and in him and in our marriage. And so I built a gorgeous altar, and then we did, basically we just had a very deep, heartfelt conversation in front of the altar. We've set intentions for our process. We had a ritual together. We made it a ritual. Like I brought instruments and items, like I have a little mirror that has like an ankh that's gold that's always on my altar, and it symbolizes like seeing the authentic self, allowing, and so like all these different things. I brought feathers and all kinds of things to use as, instruments in our lovemaking. And I initiated laying down the wounded parts that we struggle against in our marriage where we just can't see, right? And that was it. Like I really intended to initiate balance. I was like, we're doing this. And he was all on board and so open and so receptive. And now it's been, gosh, I've been out of graduate school now for over a year. My dad, all these things have transpired, but I can honestly say to see the fruits of my labor from that beautiful ritual we did together, because it was so powerful. And I made love to my husband from that place and that energy. And we spent hours in it, like all night almost. And it was so powerful. I mean, it transformed our relationship, because it was literally like, I am laying down the no longer the need to withhold from you in any way. And that means to like lay down the need to feel triggered when you're triggered, or if I say something that triggers you, I'm not going to get into that reactionary triggered place. We're going to do the work where we can really cleanse the lens of perception and see each other more authentically and see ourselves more authentically, right? And it initiated a role reversal, which was what was needed. And now my husband is in a place where he's more of he was always masculine, and I want to honor my husband in that way. But it really has given him a place to be able to step further into it. And me, a place where I am no longer needing out of fear, because I did this for so long in my life where I occupied both roles, because I was so wounded that I'll be the man and the woman. And I didn't even know that I was operating out of that place, but I had that as a child. I made that decision that it wasn't safe to allow a man to support me. So I made the decision to be the man and the woman. And I carried that into my relationships. And it of course affected my relationships in a way where it was like, oh, here's a place where I'm not letting him support me. Right? And so now in turn, since I've done that healing work and had that healing, and it's been so gorgeous and beautiful, now I extend that to other women that are struggling in that way. And it's working. Like I've had amazing results with my clients with this, because it's true, real heart-centered work. So thank you for letting me share that. And like, but you just evoked that from me. So thank you.
I keep hearing myself feedback, and then I keep thinking it's Trish, so then I get quiet.
No, it's all you, Candace. Go ahead.
Okay.
So tell us more.
Well, I really appreciate you sharing that. I think I remember hearing about this previously, and I didn't know at the time, that this experience you related to Tantra, because some people do ritual and do magic and are very spiritual, but may not relate it to Tantra, and so I really appreciate that, because Tantra is often just in the public eye only seen as very physical kind of, yeah, let's learn how to be better in the physical, but healing and harmonization. I too, I could so relate to what you shared, and this, the masculine, feminine. For me, so this is really vulnerable. I don't talk about what I'm about to share publicly that much. Before I found Tantra, I became a webcam model, and I didn't know what Tantra was, but today I now say that's when my Tantra journey began. I met a beautiful woman off a dating site that was a cam girl that talked to me about it. And there was something, I just knew that I was doing all the spiritual stuff and, doing this healing stuff, but there was still something missing. And I knew I had to go direct. I really had to go directly to the source. And I knew for me, how I vibrated as a sexual being, as a woman, as a desirable being, it wasn't working for me. I just knew that I'd done all this therapy and all this healing work, and it wasn't working. And Spirit called me. I had to put myself into positions where I could be in my masculine, in control, in power, and play with my sexuality, which is what the camming offered for me. I did not feel safe in my femininity. Other people seem to enjoy it. I seem to be great at this whole sexual thing, but I wasn't. Nothing was really going on in here. And I just wanted that done. And being able to, for me, I think with this, it was professional too. So if I wasn't safe, I could just click somebody out. It was all on the internet. I hid my face. And that was what I needed at first, to start creating some internal safety for me to start my own harmonization of feeling safe as both masculine and feminine. I feel I strongly identify with both. But there was also a very clear switch that happened for me. I also got into being a dominatrix, and that's where my name Divinatrix comes from. As a dominatrix, I had that control I needed to feel safe, and nobody could get over me, and I didn't receive. I had a very strong rule that I do not receive. I just don't do it. And I remember just very clearly one day feeling like, all right, I'm getting what I need out of this spiritually, but there's something else, and I need to let go of control now. I'm really I need something more. And I started doing, I was a Reiki practitioner, and I was like, oh, I'll do like Reiki massage or something. And it was actually a client that came to me that told me about Tantra and said that that's what I was doing. I feel like it's a long story. I'm trying to get to like the core. My first Tantra training, I went there to be a teacher. So I'm there to give. That's what I went there for. When I found out that in order for me to get my certificate, that I was going to have to learn how to receive, I was just like, no, you know, and I had this strong resistance to receiving. And Tantra, it's just, I'm really resonating and I think trying to reiterate my experience with this dance of the duality of our masculine and feminine, and giving and receiving, and the struggles that we can experience. And, you know, Tantra for me has created safety there. But it's through, you know, that beautiful creativity, you know, there's no real right or wrong either. There's so many pathways.
Thank you for sharing, Candace. I love hearing your journey. I know I'm resonating with the receiving. Sometimes it's so hard to allow oneself to receive, especially if there's trauma in the childhood, or if there's like when you have some pain point, or something, that a challenge that has come up in the past that you like, pain or suffering has been experienced while receiving, right? Because that's such a vulnerable place to receive, because it's so much easier sometimes to give. It's like, oh, I have control, this is how it is, but to receive is like a healing or an unzipping of a layer of like, oh, now I get to be vulnerable. And it's a, sometimes we're just not ready for that intimacy threshold to be crossed. And so I'm really, really resonating with that. You know, in my experiences with Tantra, I stepped in a pink or red Tantra form. And so what that means for everybody else watching is that it was purely physical. And I was playing with people, and I was experiencing these sensations that I actually wasn't really emotionally or spiritually prepared for. Like, I didn't have the foundation or the background. And what I found for me personally is that to step into this physical, sexual, sensual form without having some foundational tantric understanding was actually pretty traumatic for me as well. I was like, oh my God, I'm stepping into something that I just don't know. And it took me some time to really understand the capacity that tantric practitioners learn mantras, and they learn the mantras, the mudras, the really foundational practices to teach, or it can be potentially dangerous. So it took me some time to integrate that, and I know that we live in California. Well, I don't know if you you lived in California, but I since I was living in California, I was like, oh, Tantra meant sensual, nude, body rubbing touch. This is what this like neo-tantric experience. And I kind of stepped out of the Tantra realm because I wanted something even deeper, right? So it was like, oh, I experienced this I wanted to bring spirituality into my sex life, and that's what I got. But I wanted to actually connect to spirit. And as I developed my tantric practices, or the things that I've understood now after years of stepping out of the the community and reading on my own and learning on my own and watching YouTube and, taking classes, is that it's not even about sex. It's not about sensuality specifically, but it's about the unity of spirit and self and the enjoyment of what is as a pleasurable human experience. And so I've kind of had this thought about, humanness is like coming to Disneyland. Disneyland is great, but it also smells bad. And there's like all sorts of ick in it. And I can actually enjoy the gum on my shoe. Like I can enjoy the standing in line. I'm totally convinced that that's why I've reincarnated, to just stand in line, because I'm always waiting for something. I'm like, all right, here we are. I'm waiting in line at the grocery store, waiting in line for this manifestation, because damn, this plane of existence is so slow. I'm waiting, So I'm like, can I just enjoy the waiting? Can I enjoy the gum on the shoe and that icky smell from the wherever I'm walking? And then there's like 5 minutes of woo! It's great. And then my head hurts and I'm hungry and I have to wait in line for that too, So that's where, for me, and my tantric understanding is just like seeing this spectrum of human experience and really unifying it and weaving it into the pleasure of life. I'm not perfect at it. Sometimes I get reminded like, oh yeah, I can actually enjoy this, that I don't have to stay in the all the time. Don't get me wrong, there's some aspect of me liking that too. Anyway, thanks for hearing that. What I really love about the tantric space is that it takes the holistic view approach. The holistic view as a whole person, as a whole spirit, and integrating it into one's experience. So that's my wrap up of that whole tangent.
It's such a huge topic. It's tantra like itself, and I can also really, to the experience of going in, getting scared and pulling away and like, I don't know. I still even sometimes get hesitant with using the word because it's very misunderstood. And so as a Tantra teacher, like my inbox on my phone is constantly flooded with all sorts of sexual offerings of the completely physical nature that have nothing to do with what I actually want or what I do. So yeah, it's not that those things aren't Tantra, but it's really a personal experience. And I definitely have a bit of a trigger and a bit of an owie spot when it's over sexualized. And that's actually, I think that's why Tantra I thought was safe for me, because I have my trauma is being sexualized and not being seen as like, hey, I got a brain, I got, feelings, and I'm more than just my genitals, guys.
I'm a spiritual being.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Seeking loving expression, right? So it sounds to me that you're utilizing breaking through your trauma, right, in the past, in like rising it to like, I almost see it as like, it's a root chakra place, but it's also allowing yourself to fully embody up to like the crown chakra, where you're a full spiritual being, allowing yourself to have a full experience. That's what I'm hearing you say. And that's what you seek in your clients and helping others, is like how to transcend anything that's limiting in ourself and really arrive at like full spiritual expression through it.
Mm-hmm.
Candace, I'm curious, why would someone want to do a tantric cord cutting? And what does that even mean?
Yeah.
So we've kind of tapped into a bunch of things around sex, spirit, what like the aspect that tantra or presence or unified presence can really work with. Here's 3 amazing women who've had experiences with weaving our sexuality and our sensuality and our heart and our spirit into our love, into our loving acceptance and essence in the world. And now we're like we're feeling into this unification of what tantra is, or what our each individual understanding is and each individual practice. Why would we want to cut cords?
Yeah. So, cord cutting. I'll start there because we talked about tantra. So I just tried fluffing my hair and I forgot I had ears on. Sorry. So a lot of us in the spiritual community may have heard of cord cutting, which essentially is you envision and you drop into yourself and you see where you may have energetic cords to persons, places, or things that you want to detach that are not serving you. So I intertwine the idea of that with calling in our sexual energy as to assist us in this cutting, as well as instead of just like cutting or seeing something as like negative, like we're saying the holistic approach. As we see where things are not serving us and we start like letting go of that, you're left with this openness. And so what would you like to call in? So it's kind of the idea. And it's so, I almost said transmutable, personalizable. Whether you come to the event or you come see me for a private session virtually or in person, I'm really introducing you to you, giving you some tools on how you could get to know you more and become your own healer, your own guide, your own magician, your own tantric goddess, and really teach you how to work with this life experience and in your body. And if you're in a relationship, then you can, create that experience where I can show you how to do that for one another and turn it into a mutual experience or triad experience or family experience. I just got a beautiful vision. So usually I do all my events in person. And this next one this weekend will be virtually. But there will also be opportunities for us to experience ourselves working with one another as facilitators, as healers, to give and receive from one another as well as community. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I just put your information on how to find more about Candice, and I'm curious, can you take us through a cord cutting? And I'm going to put the spotlight on
you. So if you are here and able, I invite you to just close your eyes for a moment. The full process is long, but what I'm going to do with you right now is just kind of take you on a little journey inside your own body and give you a taster of your own body. So just follow along. And if something comes up, my instructions aren't clear, please, just type in, and if we don't see it now, I'll see it later, and it helps me improve. So, swapping in, going inside, bringing your attention and awareness all the way down into your root, into your sit bones, your pelvic floor, bringing your breath and your attention and awareness all the way down. And as you breathe, you want to breathe as if you can feel the breath coming in through your root and really filling up your root and staying very present with your root in a expansive inhale, filling up, filling up, filling up. And pause for a moment at the top of the inhale and just feel the fullness in your root, in your pelvic floor. And exhale very slowly, feeling the contraction, feeling the release. Envisioning the colors red and orange like that of a fire, or maybe even picturing that fire inside you. And just taking a moment to nourish and feed and fuel your inner fire with your breath. And if it feels right to you, to invite in spirit, Mama Gaia, in through your root to fill you up, to connect to your roots. Our roots, our nature. One earth, one being, one planet, one breath. Just noticing. No right, no wrong. Now on this next breath, I'd like to invite you to start breathing that fire up through your body. And you can even take your hands and sweep them up your body to create that sensation with your breath of opening, connecting, all the way up to your crown. Take your hands with your breath at the beginning of your inhale, starting either at your feet, or you can start at your belly, your sex center. Pulling that fire up, your life force energy, primal mother energy, earth energy coming up through your body. And even really connecting to your sexual energy. On your next breath, at the top of your inhale, while holding your breath, contract your PC muscles. And what I mean when I say that, muscles, like if you're trying to stop the flow of urine. So you take that breath in, pull that fire up all the way up to your crown, hold it in, and then contract your PC muscles and just hold it tight. See if you can hold your pelvic floor muscles, hold that fire in, hold that life force in. And release the breath, release your pelvic floor muscles. And if you're not getting the feel of your pelvic floor muscles, just really hold that intention of grabbing hold of your sexual energy. strengthening, being with, inviting your God energy, your life force energy. Now mentally just kind of do a scan of your body, of your chakra system. As you carry your breath and you fire up your body, can you see and feel the fire accessing? Or do you notice energy gets stuck? Or friction in the heart, the belly, maybe the third eye? Really slow down those breaths and really be aware. Where is that fire flowing freely? Where are you not feeling you have access to your fire? Now if you take that fire and breathe that fire into your hands. Envision your hands becoming these magnificent swords of love and light and power, divinity and grace. All that you need, all that you desire. May that be cutting cords. May that be calling in. And if you notice certain points of your body, your chakra system, where the fire is not quite reaching, or just calling for more fire, more love, more light, attention, take these beautiful, fiery, powerful, magical hands and start giving your body, your energy fields, whatever it needs. Remembering your breath and calling in your powerful energy into your hands and seeing it. And if you're feeling like cord cutting is where you are, where you want to be, if you're feeling like you need more guidance, you're feeling like love, connection, call that into your hands right now. I invite you to even open your eyes, watch myself, Dawn, or Trish. As we call on, well, I don't know if they are, but as I call on my magic hand wands, clearing, cutting, activating, feeding, nourishing, conjuring up my own fire energy, conjuring up your own powerful healer fire energy. I personally am feeling very alive and in a place of calling in and connection. If I was in a place of really wanting to cut, I would be doing more sweeping and cutting and rapid motions and fire breath, strong breath, sounding breath. If you notice intensities ferocities. That's where I would invite you to use more sound, to use more force. Maybe tap, pound. I'd love to know if Trish and Dawn, how are you feeling over there? Were you able to join in? And what's alive for you in this practice right now?
I'm so grateful for this practice. Just allowing the tethers to drop away and to nurture oneself with light, the love that to magnetize the love, to nurture myself with the love that I want. I feel really calm, present, grounded, connected.
Yeah, it felt really like delicious and nurturing to call my sacred fire from my root chakra up my spine and just bathe my whole body in like replenishing, nourishing energy, right? That sexual, creative juice and fire that we all hold can be a bath for our energy body, right? That we can call it forward to rise up our spine and nourish ourselves. That felt really good to me.
For those of you who are watching and participating, type in the chat box what you felt. For those who are listening in the podcast, I invite you to share out as well.
Thank you, Heather, so much. You're such a sending you so much love. She says, Dawn and Trish, trusted beacons of light, thank you for doing your work with integration. Truly grateful to see others doing the work. From my heart, thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much. From Kelly Bird. Other things people are saying is, people in my practice are asking for this. Hi, beauties.
Yeah, one of the biggest things for me right now, like I said, that's very personalizable. Personalizable, and I intuit just about all my meditations, and so right now, what I got out of that, just like I don't know if I've ever felt the call to activate the fire as much. And I feel like that's, so we all create this. So whoever shows up at my event, you know what I mean? Whatever comes through is what's needed for, you know, all of our viewers. And I'm really appreciating whatever energy everyone brought, and Dawn and Trish, and I'm definitely feeling my fire very alive. And honestly, like I'm even getting, like I had a little tear that was trying to come out here. That was like burning my eye. Like it was like, but like bliss. And that's the thing when we talk about weaving. You know, I am experiencing some pain right now and some anxiety, but I'm also experiencing bliss. And yeah, I'm feeling a little like, you know, almost too blissed out to be trying to lead anything. And that's one of the hard parts about leading this. Like, how do I do the practice and stay grounded and lead you guys?
This is really powerful. So Heather says, thank you for having me spend so much time in my root. It's my instinct to bypass this, and I found a fire there that was not mine. Thank you, Candace. And this is really like, I think this is also why we're all called forward to share this, right? Because it's also, it's so private, it's so individual for each person's experience, right? And sexual practices, like energetic practices, can be shamed in culture. So it's really important to bring it back to the sacred, bring it back to the spiritual. This is our spiritual nature. And this is also Candace's deep work in the world to really bring this into the light, that this is like every person's birthright to experience the spiritual bath through loving ourselves in this way, I hear. And so thank you, Candice. Like, I just wanted to read that comment because it's gorgeous and such an expression of your work.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And I'm so happy to hear that the fire that was conjured up today was the exact fire that was needed. And yeah, there's no cookie cutter mold. You know, so I'm blind to all of our viewers. I didn't mention that. But back when I could see, I used to write out a plan for my event. That was fun. And then the people that show up, their needs are different. And I have to then let go of my plan. And so I've learned, you know, the best plan to have is a plan that's like, you plan for the no plan plan. It's like the no plan plan, or plan to adjust the plan. But with Tantra, I've definitely, like, there's no cookie cutter mold. There's no right or wrong. And there's always like I think that's the other big thing about Tantra. Coming back to seeing ourself as a representation of God, goddess energy, of spirit, that I can, you know, that intuitive thing, like I could, like, I'm amazing. But if a client comes to me and they're not really open and receptive, it doesn't matter what I say. I'm not going to be able to get in and give them the magic they need, because I'm just going to be going off my cookie cutter mold, which really isn't what that person needs, that they're not opening to tell me, so I can't do anything. Yeah.
Candace, I want to share a couple things that are coming in for you.
Yes.
The meditation was great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your personal stories too. Always so helpful. And Kelly Bird says, this is the first time I truly felt my chest. I'm a breast cancer survivor and I saved my life, not my boobs.
God bless you, Kelly.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that with us.
I know, so vulnerable, powerful.
So for all of you who are here, who are watching, these practices that we share on our show and the practices that Candace can lead us through are so powerful, so whole, creating wholeness, so reminding us of our humanity and our spirit. I've typed in the chat box where you can find her and how to experience more of the tantric cord cutting and her event this weekend. And I highly suggest that you go and participate if this is something that's resonating with you, if this is drawing you, and if you got anything out of it, which I'm obviously, this is so powerful because you're taking people to feel their chest and feel their fire, feeling their connection, their presence. So powerful.
Thank you, everyone. And Kelly, just I also want to say, like, I can feel your breasts right now. Like, thank you so much for letting us feel you and for saying yes to yourself. And I'm so grateful and honored that, that this fire, you know, this energetic fire reached you. Yeah, it's initially so I put a post up for this saying what did I say? Oh, I'm excited to celebrate my mess as the gingerbread goddess on the self-love show today. This dress I call my gingerbread dress, and I got just feeling so messy, and I just yeah, it's amazing like how much we don't have to have it all together, and magic still happens, and it's really celebrating the mess. That is, that's what Tantra, I think, has created for me, because the mess is.
It's what you're sharing resonates so deeply. I literally just had a very vulnerable post I shared on my personal business page. Self-love coach Dawn Lightamora. Like I shared this very deep thing about my life, and in the end I put this photo of myself where it's like a really authentic looking photo of me, but I had been doing a photo shoot and the back of my car was so messy, but I actually said this in the post. I said, it like celebrate the authentic self even through the mess. Right. And it was like such a symbolic thing for me, that photo. The reason why I chose it was because of that. It was like, look at all this mess, and we get to be amazing spiritual beings, and we get to live into the authentic self, regardless of our outside circumstances. It's happening. Even when we think we're blocking ourselves, it's still happening, because that's how spirit works. Spirit works through the chaos, right? The spirit initiates the chaos to help the shift. Right? That pressure you're feeling in your life is the shift occurring. So can we lean in to it and love it and bathe ourselves in this tantric healing energy to support the shifts even more, to support the self-love even more, to support like the highest evolution of you coming through.
I also have this thought about like, what is the judgment of mess? Like who doesn't have quote unquote mess? Like what does that look like? And can we just talk about having it together? I know a bunch of people,
ducks in a row.
Yeah, I mean I know a bunch of people who participate in the white picket fence. I'm not gonna look at the stuff that's going on in the shadow or in the background, and I'm gonna only put on this pretty face or this look goods thing. And I'm like, oh, is that having it together? Does having it together mean that I don't show or see the shadow or the stuff that I'm the honest, true, vulnerable
the
stuff?
Undone parts.
And I've been thinking a lot about that actually. And I'm like, wait, everybody has mess. But like, I don't see as having it together as I personally don't see it as having it together looks this beautiful, pristine, shined way. I don't see it like that anymore. I think in my heart of hearts, my belief is that having it together is showing up authentically in vulnerability and being honest and owning what is. Yeah, I fucking cry sometimes. Yeah, I curse. Sometimes I'm going to be a 16-year-old little girl or 4-year-old little girl and I'm going to cry on my floor, literally. Just so you all know that sometimes I pound on the bed and I'm screaming and I'm doing the thing. And I'm just doing the thing. That's what it looks like. Do I feel more integrated? Can I show up better? Yes. And that for me is what having it together looks like. Oh, I can show up in my fullness, not in the places where I'm suffocating or stuffing myself. I'm human. I mean, I hate to break it to you all. I'm human. Whoa, sorry. Whoa, I'm human. I'm gonna clunk around like a bull in a china shop. That's just what it's gonna happen. I'm gonna say the bad thing. I'm gonna say the wrong thing. I'm gonna say the thing that triggers the
awkward thing.
Totally. So,
yeah.
For me, having it together or being messy, it just is. And you know what? I just want you there.
Exactly. And I really see that whole concept of like the white picket fence and like holding that place of like, I've got to appear perfect. I've got to look perfect. It's a sense of control, right? It's like, I've got to control my environment so much that everything's clean, everything looks pristine, everything's like, super controlled, because there's a part of themselves that feels so out of control that they control their outside environment because they're so out of control inside. Right? That feeling of like full out of control, not able to process their emotions. Like my dad was like that. Like he wanted to always appear like everything was good on the outside, but how dare they know that I'm beating the crap out of you when no one's looking, right? Like that was the reality. And I learned like that, what the fuck is that? Excuse my language, but I'm not okay with living like that. And ultimately it's led me here. It's led me here where I can be really raw and authentic about what's gone on and own my humanness and own my like, oh my God, I was terrified as a child. Like I literally made my first C. I'm going to admit this on public, but I made my first C in 3rd grade and I hid under the bathroom sink as a child because I was terrified to go home.
Does anyone else resonate with that?
And that's real. That really happened to me at that young age. And like, I don't know why that's coming forward, but I just needed to share it to really like break the mold of like everyone has sticky, hard places that they experience. And we can love ourselves there. We can cultivate self-love there. We can forgive the hard parts. We can bring back love and forgiveness to all the things that have ever happened to us. And happen to others, right? We can have compassion for ourselves. Hold the candle of compassion. Hold the fire of compassion in your root chakra.
So Candace, I love you in your spicy, sweet, sticky gingerbreadness. Because I see you as a full, whole being, regardless of the emotion. Thank you for processing those. For allowing them. Thank you for being with what is and not shooing it away.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting it and for inviting us in to our truth, into our being, to our hearts and our bodies and our spirits. Oh, what an amazing show today. Thank you for showing up in your I feel so, I love Candace so much. I spend a lot of time with her in the morning and well, in my morning and her afternoon, but I also just know Candace on a personal level. And so I feel maybe a little bit more, slightly less professional, more, connected and intimate, to be slightly more flippant. So I love having someone so close on the show. Thank you for just being like unzipping your heart and opening up to us. Thank you, Dawn, for always being a spectacular partner.
Oh, I love you so much. And just wanted to share my love and gratitude for Candace's presence on the show today and sharing your heart and your vulnerability and this deep spiritual practice you've been cultivating for years and the work that's gone into transforming yourself and like helping others in service. Like I really, really see you and I see your light and I see what you're weaving through this journey, right? And it's incredible. So keep going with it. There's so many people that will be touched through what you're doing and really grateful to share your expertise today. Your zone of genius, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
Again, catch Miss Candace at her event this weekend. It's dropped in the box. You can find it also on, let me see if I can find it again, the Temple of Frolic.com, as well as the Facebook Temple of Frolic. The event is not to be missed. Tantric cord cutting. Type it in. All right. We'll see you guys next week. Every Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm not really good with times, so you're going to have to look that up if you're not in my time zone, because I just keep messing that all up.
Time zone converter exists. Just Google
I
time
know.
zone
Every
1 p.m. EST.
all right.
Nice. Have a great week, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.